This is the short Oulton Park circuit, and we're here for rounds 9 and 10. Let's see how the main contenders fared during the first qualifying session. Well, it was a very tight session, but Menu finally comes away with the pole.
So I still continue my yearly trend of qualifying in the top 8. Menu does get the pole position point for, I think, only the 3rd time this season now, ahead of Plato, Bieler and Thompson, who completes the top 4. And then there is the bottom 8 qualifiers. I'm pretty sure this is going to be an interesting race. I'm also quite sure in either the first or second race, this is where my win streak will probably end, because this, I would imagine, is where the AI will get stronger. So, let's move on to race 1. So, already built myself up to a 35-point cushion, and yes, you did hear me correctly when I said 35 points. I think I revved the motor a little bit too much there on the start, but either way, still able to at least make myself a contender. I've only lost 1 position so far, and I can definitely say this is a good car because the qualifying pace is good, and it's also transferring in terms of race pace also. And it looks like I just spun my teammate out. But anyways, I'm pretty sure the domination will not continue here at Oulton Park, because the AI do seem to have the advantage here at this circuit. I'm also quite sure this is... Oh, and apparently I took out Bintcliffe. That wasn't intentional, by the way. That was just... It was just one of those racing deals. But I honestly didn't think it was going to take him out like that. I really didn't. Well, at least it proves the superiority I have in the Volvo compared to the Audi. I should have known that was coming. And I just put Derek into the wall. Well, at least I can say it wasn't enough for him to drop out. Unlike the Audi. Yeah, something tells me this is where the domination ends, most definitely. Now, can't really say that Oulton Park, to be completely honest, has been much of a friend of mine in this game. But either way, I do have a 35-point lead coming into this race, so mistakes might not be as costly as they would be had it been earlier in the campaign. But anyways, fucking hell. Can I please just stop wrecking myself at this stage? And I think Tim Harvey just wrecked himself there whilst he was attempting to get past me. By the way, I would like to say the mishap I had with the Audi there, that wasn't intentional. It was just one of those racing deals where he was just attempting to clear me from the outside, and then basically I wasn't able to step on the brakes early enough to at least, you know, give him the running room to get through. You know, it's just one of those racing deals, essentially. And I can definitely say John Cleland so far is running good here, because he's already up into 6th position so far. Meanwhile, I'm slowly closing in on the Nissan ahead of me. It looks like David Leslie, I would assume, Of course, my teammate crashed out early on in this race, but at least I can say with one of the Audis out of the first race, it does at least give one of the backmarker teams a chance to potentially score points. I'm now closing in on John, trying to make sure I do this cleanly. Cleland, I can definitely say, has a good car here at the moment because he's running in 6th and looking for 5th. Behind the Honda there of, I think, Gabriella Tarquini. I want to try and make this a clean pass because I do want Vauxhall to score points here. I do want to see Vauxhall actually score points here for once. Just narrowly managing to keep a hold of it there, but John Cleland, the way I see it, is not wanting to let me through for the position. And it doesn't matter because he has now managed to clear the Honda. So, gonna try and see if I can get past Tarquini here as we head into the first turn once again, turn 1, and trying to see if I can at least put myself in a position to clear him. That's not the way I initially wanted to do it, but as long as it doesn't drop out as a result of it, then, you know. In some cases I don't really care, but you know. So up into 6th position now, and Cleland has pulled himself out to a 5.6 second advantage. This could be where Vauxhall does manage to score points now right before the halfway point of the season, as I now set a new personal best lap time of a 59.36, and 6 laps have been run here in the first race, and really trying my hardest not to hit anything else whilst I'm at it. Cleland certainly seems to have one of the fastest cars here at Oulton Park at the moment, or Oulton Park I should say. I think that's how you pronounce it, but anyways. I am closing in on the other Honda ahead of me. I'm going to assume that must be James Thompson. Cleland definitely looks to be on his way to scoring points here at the present time, and I really don't want to tamper his progress because he's essentially scoring points in the car I formerly drove to narrowly winning the championship over Menu. Of course, I knew this is where the AI would fight back, but either way, it's amazing for me to say that I have 8 wins in a row, and I'm still not over it to say it's a win streak. I am fairly certain will not continue here at Oulton Park. I mean, it would be a nice feeling if it could, but I'm quite sure it won't. Because at this stage, I'm fairly certain the AI have got me nailed to the wall here. Well, at least I can say no one's behind me. Well, as long as I can keep scoring points and podiums in most of these next couple of races, then I should still have the points lead. going into, what's next? Oh yeah, Donington. Yeah, we're going back to Donington. But anyways. And, yep, Cleland is now up to the podium, because he's now overtaken the leading Audi, or the remaining Audi I should say, because, well, Bintcliffe dropped out of the running order after contact in the final corner. I take partial blame for that, but I have said before it was not an intentional incident, it was just one of those racing deals. Of course, it is fair to say I am now closing in on Bieler in the Audi, and Cleland certainly seems to have one of the fastest cars here at Oulton Park, as I am slowly closing in on the Audi just up ahead of me. It would be amazing if Cleland does manage to score a podium here. He might even score a win if his car is really as fast as I presume it to be. But it is fair to say Cleland has definitely got a fire lit under him with the amount of positions he's already gained at this stage of the race. I don't think I'll be able to catch up to the Renaults, but as long as he's still able to score points, then that's definitely a win for Vauxhall the way I see it. Not compared to the wins I had with them in championship mode, but it is fair to say, and it looks as though Cleland is now dealing with lapped traffic, I think. Oh, is that his teammate who's overlapping there? Or is that my teammate? Oh, it's his. Okay. I want to try and see if I can make this a clean pass, because I really don't want to tamper with John's progress in terms of the positions he's already made up at this stage. And it doesn't matter because, well, effectively both of them spun out. I don't think I'm going to catch up to Menu, but again, as long as I can at least score a podium in this race, then I've not really got anything to worry about. But it is fair to say I definitely have a good car here. And it's only 5 seconds back to Jason Plato. Of course, I've won on every circuit now in this game, with the exception of Oulton Park. I don't think I'm going to catch up to Menu, but if I can catch up to Plato and at least finish in either second or third, then I can definitely say it'll be a win for me, because it proves I'm in this for the long haul. I'm not in this to dominate races and then be wildly inconsistent. I'm in this to win races and consistently score as many points as I can. And I sometimes wish NASCAR could essentially go back to the traditional Winston Cup points format they had for nearly 3 decades to decide a champion. And it is fair to say that's a point system which went a very long way. I mean, in terms of the race points format, that basically remained intact until 2010. And the history of the system itself dates as far back as 1975. And many people would argue that was effectively NASCAR's best points format. And it looks as though if I did have any chance of winning now, it's probably faded. I didn't think I was going to win here in the first race at Brands Hatch anyway, but... Sorry, the first race at Oulton Park anyway, but again, consistency is what wins you championships. I've basically annihilated the opposition up to this stage. I'm quite sure my win streak is not going to continue in this race. I'm slowly closing in on Jason Plato again, whilst I am running in third position. I've already been involved in a number of incidents up to this stage of the championship. Of course, it does go to show that you don't need to win every race in order to win the championship. You just need to win some races and be generally consistent. At least I know that's what Bill Elliott discovered when he won the Cup Series Championship in 1988. Because even though he was fast, he knew it was going to take consistency for him to eventually clinch the Cup. And then, in 1988, he finally did it. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville ultimately won the championship in what probably had to be a nail-biting finale between both he and Rusty Wallace. And by the way, Rusty Wallace would win the Cup the following year in another nail-biting battle, this time with the Intimidator, Dale Earnhardt Sr. And it is fair to say they definitely had their fair share of battles. And Rusty Wallace is arguably considered by many as being probably one of the greatest NASCAR drivers of all time. Certainly in short track racing, because that always seemed to be his foyer. And I can definitely say Rusty Wallace was a superb short track racer, especially since he won at Bristol 9 times over the course of his career. A record that's only bested by one other driver, Darrell Waltrip, who has a total of 12 wins at that short track. And the track I refer to is Bristol Motor Speedway. There was even one time where Darrell Waltrip had even won 7 races in a row at Bristol. I mean, it was arguably the hardest short track on the NASCAR circuit, and yet he was able to win there 7 times. It was far and away one of his best tracks, if not the best track for DW. He was practically the master of the Bristol High Banks. Is what Darrell Waltrip was. Anyways, so I've got no chance of winning this race, unfortunately, but again, I knew the win streak was going to end at some point. I'm still astonished to say I won the first 8 races consecutively, and basically with no real issues. It doesn't look as though I'm going to catch Menu at this stage of the race, and it looks as though this is going to be where the AI will start to fight back, as I'm now trying to overlap my teammate, who I accidentally wrecked out early on in the race. But either way, I also effectively forced one of the Audis out of the running order because, well, anyways, you know. I should also mention, in case you're already forgetting what's happened in this race so far, there's been quite a lot. And it's also amazing to say that I've managed to effectively fight my way up into second position even after all the chaos I was involved in on the first lap. One of those incidents did involve me and my teammate again. Unfortunately, Calvin was a victim of circumstances, with him spinning out on the first lap, and probably out of contention also, but at least he won't have to worry about one of the Audis anymore because, well, basically Bintcliffe crashed out when we made contact and he ultimately went straight into the tyre wall when we were battling hard for position. I do take part of the blame, but I wouldn't say I'll take the whole blame because, well, Bintcliffe also had some involvement in that ordeal. But either way, as they say, it was just one of those racing deals. Sometimes it gets close enough for comfort, and sometimes it gets too close for comfort. Like I said, it was just one of those racing deals, and I basically knew it was going to happen eventually. Also, if John Cleland does manage to finish in the points, I'm definitely going to give him a shout out, because he's just been phenomenal in this race in terms of his efforts. Certainly more phenomenal efforts than I could have anticipated. If he does manage to close the deal in the points. It is fair to say that by that point also, every team will have managed to score at least 1 point. Because if Vauxhall does manage to stay in the points long enough, then I do have a feeling part of the reason for that will be because John essentially had a fast car early on. Oh, excuse me. Oh, sorry. Well, at least I can say it didn't take him out. Fortunately. But anyways, 6 laps to go here at Oulton Park. It looks as though the win streak is going to snap at 8. Can't say I'm really too disappointed because, well, I'm certainly overwhelmed by the amount of domination I've already had up to this point in the season. It would be nice if I could get a win here at Oulton Park, because then I would have at least 1 win on every circuit in this game. But either way, I knew the track was not going to be one of my playgrounds, and I wouldn't say it matters too much because I do have quite a substantial lead over the AI up to this point anyway, because, well, I've just been dominant and consistent, whereas the AI have been inconsistent. Is the only way to, is one way to put it lightly. But I'm pretty sure this is where Menu is going to start to claw back some of the points he's already lost at this stage. Even though, heading into the second race, I will still be leading him by 2 race wins. Or just under 2 race wins with 2 pole position points if it does manage to be, how should I put this? If it does manage to be the case of him taking the pole position point in both races and then winning both of them, whilst I finish in second. So, I'd say at most, if I finish second in both races, then I'm quite sure this is no doubt going to be where, at the very least, I will lose 6 points. But I'll still have quite a sublime lead, because that's just how dominant I've been. I've just literally been figuratively dominant for the early stages of the campaign, and it's also fair to say I've been thoroughly captivated in just holding on to the lead as much as I can. Well, it looks as though Menu is going to snap the 8-race winning streak I've already built up at this stage, and also with me being generally more consistent than the AI altogether, I might add. And just trying to keep the car on track. I'm probably well clear of Plato now. I don't think he's going to catch up to me at this stage. And I can definitely say the Showdown Championship has definitely been a hell of a lot easier so far. Oh, careful. I can definitely say the Showdown Championship has been a hell of a lot easier than the regular championship was at this time. So basically you got no chance of winning now, unless Menu drops out for whatever reason, but I'm pretty sure that's not going to happen. He has a 40+ second lead, even though I'm slowly closing in on him, but even then, I'm not going to beat him. Menu is going to beat me on this day, but either way, it doesn't matter, because I will still have a 31-point lead heading into the second race. I seem to have a habit of getting so close to the pit wall, basically getting so close to hitting it, but then somehow missing it for some reason. I really couldn't tell you why that's the case, but I guess it just is. Anyways, got some lapped traffic up ahead. I think John has probably dropped back to where he would normally run, unless he is actually running still inside the points. It'll surprise me if he is, but either way. Oh, yeah, he's definitely not running in the points now. If he was before. Can't really say I'm too surprised, but either way, it doesn't matter. Second place, I will definitely take it. Menu beats me on this day, but I still lead the championship.
Comfortable victory in the end then for Menu, who drove a superb race. So let's have a closer look at the final positions.
Alright, John. Let's give him a clap, boys, because he finished that race in 7th, and he actually scored points. So, Menu wins ahead of Plato, Thompson, Beeler, Tarquini, Cleland and Leslie, and also myself in second. And then, for the bottom 8, we had Kelvin Burt ahead of Anthony Reid, who rounds out the points, ahead of Tim Harvey, Paul Radisich, Derek Warwick, Will Hoy and Patrick Watts, and Jamie Bintcliffe was the only retiree from that race after I racked him out, after he racked out early on. And now we must move on to race number 2. So let's do that. let us move on to race number 2 here at Oulton Park.